大家好，我係新德莉莉，歡迎嚟到我嘅 channel。今次好開心同大家分享平機會嚟緊有個為弱勢社群發聲嘅攝影展覽。我今次都有機會邀請咗幾位攝影師嚟接受訪問啦。佢哋其實同我一樣都係少數族裔嚟㗎，包括有學生 Max 同 Galvo 同埋外籍傭工 Leanne。不如我哋都聽下佢哋背後嘅故事，了解下多啲佢哋啊！ So you're working here as a domestic worker?
Yes, the good things about being a domestic helper is like you meet a lot of different people, and like you are able to challenge yourself, like especially your patience and understanding. I will also have to say that it's hard, especially for first timers. The culture difference, yeah.
So I know you're a self-taught photographer, and you learned it through video tutorials. Am I right?
Yeah, YouTube videos, books, and magazine, and I was also lucky to meet some people from Cathay Camera Club here in Hong Kong, and they are my mentors.
Okay. Yeah. How did your interest start in terms of photography? Where did it come from, the passion?
Because I started playing with the camera when I was in 5th or 6th grade.
Oh, wow.
So it's like that time nothing serious. Like I just want to take photos for memories with my friends. But when I get here in Hong Kong, because the transition from being a professional to being a helper is very different, very difficult. So like I realized I needed something to keep me,
to keep you going.
Occupied, Because like if not, I will not survive the life here in Hong Kong. And for me, it's like it's photography. It's my way of expressing my feelings, the thoughts that I have. Because for migrant workers, like we cannot really express ourselves because they will take it like negatively.
Okay.
So instead of using words, I decided like why not use the photos?
So among your photographies, what is your favorite photo, you would say?
I would say the photo that I call invisible.
Okay.
Because that's how I see the domestic workers. It's like we are here, but no one can like really see us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that you in the photo? No.
No.
Is that your friend?
No,
it was just someone.
Yeah, because most of my favorite thing to do is like taking stolen shots, candid shots.
Okay.
Because I believe that that's my way of capturing the pure emotion. It's like if I'm gonna ask someone to pause for me, like even though they're sad, they'll pretend that they're happy. Like I'm faking it, and I don't want to do that.
Okay. But I think this one is. They're definitely your friends, right?
That one, because I also like volunteer to some other organizations.
Okay.
Yeah. If they have workshop, they sometimes invite me to go there and take photos.
Oh, okay. So
Yes, sir.
apart from your full-time as a domestic worker, you also do freelance photo taking for other people as well?
Yes. And aside from that, like I'm also part of a group who give assistance to domestic workers.
Okay.
Like now, for the quarantined domestic workers, like they are not receiving enough water or food.
Okay.
So what we do, like we volunteer, we go to the hotels and bring them food. But yeah, just on the door.
Just on the door, okay. There's one photo, I saw a few photos that look like they're in planes. And then there's one that I asked you, is this called Going Home? And you said yes. So what's the story behind this photo?
Because that one, I took it when I was bound for holiday to the Philippines. Then like that's also the time that I realized like whenever we say going home, for domestic workers, like it has two meanings. Like going home for a holiday and going home for good.
Okay.
And like for me, the second meaning, like it's quite, oh my God, I'm getting emotional.
Oh, it's okay.
It's one of the hardest questions because I'm not sure when.
I see. It's a very meaningful photo. I saw it and I asked you straight away. Was this taken when you went back home last time, right?
Yeah, like December last year.
So for Christmas?
Yes.
Nice. So my last question is this photo. It's called Migration is a Bet.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a little bit about it, but would you like to tell me more about what you were feeling when you took the photo, or what's the story behind it?
So yeah, I call that photo Migration is a Bet. Like for betting, we all know the main reason why people bet is because they want to win.
Yes.
But the truth is, when you bet, you don't know if you will win or not. The same as with migration.
Yeah.
When I left the Philippines, I was thinking in mind that, okay, when I get there, I will be able to provide better needs for my family. But the thing is, like, when I get here in Hong Kong, I'm not sure if my employers will be good or not that good.
Yeah. So it's also a bet. That's what
Yes,
you
like,
wanted to do.
yeah, we can't really say that, okay, I will go to Hong Kong and for sure I will have a better future. Yeah, we can't really say. So yeah, just like betting.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story and your lovely photos. They all have such a deep and meaningful concept. So thank you so much for having me. 咁我哋下一個嘉賓咧就係 Max 同埋 Couple 啦。Hello, welcome.
Hi.
Thanks for taking your time and talking to me. For both of you, all the photographs that you guys took, each person, they are not locals, they're ethnic minorities.
For me, there was one element that I hope people can really see is that I try to place these people in very, very natural environments. You can see that most of them I try to put in like public transportation, public places that you can easily recognize, and some places that the people themselves are very familiar with. Because I wanted to show that ethnic minorities, sure, our population might not be as big as the local population, but we're here.
Yeah.
You know, you can see us around, we're around.
I think very similar to Max, like my subjects, I mostly told them to just go on with their daily lives, and I just asked them, can I take a photo of you doing something that you would do in your regular like day, like, you know, throughout your day. So some of my subjects are like enjoying coffee, or like my friend here, he works part-time as a food delivery man, so he was doing that, he was working, and I was like, can I just take a photo? He's like, I'm rushing to do my order. I'm like, please just let me take a good shot. And then I have a couple, like I have this friend who's a musician in Hong Kong, and he's trying to pursue his career in music in Hong Kong. And my friend who lives in Jordan, like she literally has lived in Temple Street her whole life, so I wanted to showcase like that's a part of her identity. And I feel like throughout my whole like 10 photos, like my main goal was to show that, like, the term local, I find it really weird because local literally means someone who comes from a place, right? And actually all of my subjects are, well, most of them are born and raised in Hong Kong. They received their education in Hong Kong, and they're still studying in Hong Kong, and they're planning to get a job in Hong Kong or settle down in Hong Kong. And which is like so weird to me, that I find it so weird that we are still seen to be different, even though we speak the same language, we eat the same food, we study with you guys, but it's so strange that we are seen different from people. So I try to show that the meaning of local, like I was trying to tackle the meaning of local, like what I have learned, like growing up, like I always felt like I wasn't a local, even though I felt like I was. People always made me feel like I wasn't, but I feel like from these photos I just want to show that we are basically locals, you know, we do basically what everyone else in Hong Kong does. So I mean, yeah, that was my main purpose.
Are you guys scared in the future? How would it be in terms of building a career? As you mentioned, you want to go into science, and you know, you mentioned the struggle as well. Do you think language is a big part of it? After talking to them, or your own opinion as well?
Yes, I think I'm gonna base this from my own experience. That actually, after doing my degree in science, I wanted to look into veterinary school. And since the situation right now is not so great, I was thinking of taking a gap year and kind of like building up my portfolio in vet school. I did my lab in that's related to animal as well. And in the lab, it's okay because everyone's international. But I wanted to do something more practical, so I tried to do vet assistants and vet nurse, tried to apply. But every time I get a call, the first thing they would ask is, oh, can you speak Chinese? And I was like, I want to say yes, but I feel inclined to be honest and say it's probably not to the level that you guys are expecting. They're probably going to be handling a lot of like medical or veterinary terms that I would not know how to translate nonetheless. It was very I don't know, downing for me to have so much rejection just because of this one single factor. As if that you have to know Chinese first before they even check your CV if you're qualified or not.
Yeah, I think it's pretty like sad because like I had to learn Chinese when I went to like high school as well. Like in primary school we did have Chinese classes, but they were very like half-assed. Like they were just like they would teach us like a bunch of vocabulary and like call it a day, and they would just teach us like mama, papa, or like very like basic vocabs that you can't even sustain a conversation with these vocabs, right? It wasn't until I got into like high school and I realized like, oh my god, I can't talk to like my friends, and a lot of my classmates back then, they didn't feel comfortable approaching me as well because they didn't feel comfortable speaking English. So it always like felt like it was on me to like take the first step and like try to like initiate a conversation. And my teachers would always emphasize like, oh, if you don't learn Chinese now, you can't find a job in Hong Kong if you don't learn Chinese. And this is like when I was like 12 or 13, right? And it's like since then people have been like telling me that I need to learn Chinese. So I do feel like I did put a lot of time and effort learning Chinese. And then when I went to my second high school, like I realized like how lucky I got because the situation was so different. Like I had individual classes after school in my first high school, right? But for my second high school, like they still had like regular classes for the non-Chinese speaking students, but they were same as the primary school classes. Like they were very like half-assed, and we would just learn like really basic like Chinese, and it was just for the sake of like completing the GCE exam. And I feel like the education system in Hong Kong is really still not good because like even though they say they have like classes or they have resources for like non-Chinese speaking students, they're very like bare minimum, and at the end of the day they're not like for you to like come out and like integrate into society. It's just for you to like pass the exam, and like so that like it's just like for the sake of it. Like they just do it for the sake of it, and I feel like that's really like a problem that needs to be tackled. And yeah, so like since I did learn Chinese like growing up, like now I feel like I do have somewhat of an advantage compared to like some like my peers who don't speak Cantonese.
And I definitely feel the same way about the school thing because I remember doing a bunch of vocab during my high school, and I bet 95% of those I can't even recall because like after you write the vocab, you like check it and then you're like, okay, that's done, right? So I guess that speaks a lot of volume about like the Chinese education for ethnic minorities. Like it's present, but nobody's really keeping in check whether it's working or not.
So lastly, I would like to ask you guys, would you like to stay in Hong Kong in the long term?
Just based from my experience in like interviewing, applying for jobs, right now I'm leaning towards no. But of course I want to, but it doesn't seem like the opportunities are present here in Hong Kong. Of course, this is my home. I would say that confidently that this is my home. I'd like to stay in my home. But then again, if my home is not treating me like a home member, it's kind of like forcing me to look outside of home, to look for those opportunities that I wish I can have at home.
I see myself more like a bridge because I do speak like I speak English and I speak Cantonese, right? So I want to use my skills as an advantage to like help like maybe like integrate both societies, but I don't feel like we need to like blend into like each other's like worlds and be like same. Like we can still be different, but we can still like get along, you know. We don't need to discriminate with like against each other's. So I feel like in the long run I do see myself staying in Hong Kong.
I agree with both of you. I think if it doesn't feel like a home anymore, you wouldn't want to stay here. But at the same time, for me as well, Hong Kong is just where I was born. It's where my friends and family are. So it's difficult to think about moving out. But I'm just, your photos, your exhibition, it shows a lot that the ethnic minorities in Hong Kong, their personal story, what they have struggled with, and it's very touching for other people to see. I wish locals could see it and actually could see it and actually realize that we're all the same, and they should we accept them, they should accept us as well. We shouldn't always be the first ones to step outside and talk to them. They can also come up and talk to us.
I think accepting is the very minimum. I feel like we should go further the conversation of not just accepting, but like really trying to see each other eye to eye. And I guess like maybe not blend, but I guess integrate would be the better word. Like, if you come up to me and already ask if I think I'm blended, I wouldn't like that conversation to begin with because you're asking me to strip away my identities and
so that I can fit into like,
But I don't want to do that. Like, I want to be in this place as me, and everyone seeing me as for who I am.
And I feel like there's so many like talented individuals like in my own circle already. So I can't even imagine like how many people are there like in the whole of Hong Kong. So I feel like there's so much like talent and like inspiring stories, and I feel like those shouldn't like be pushed under the rug just because of like one thing that that doesn't fit into like the normal standard.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely I do feel like there's a lot to be done.
Yeah. 聽完咁多位攝影師分享佢哋嘅故事之後，如果你哋都想支持弱勢社群嘅話，大家只要喺呢個網站就可以睇晒佢哋啲作品㗎啦。平機會仲會喺疫情緩和之後喺南豐紗廠同埋香港大學舉辦實體嘅展覽，大家記住留意呢個網站，把握最新嘅資訊啊！咦？你哋仲未走？走之前記住 comment、like 同 subscribe 我嘅 YouTube channel 啊！下次再見，拜拜。